6 Chapter 3, Opportunity Came. As soon as Chen Yang entered the door, he saw his mother coming out of the kitchen while shaking his freshly washed hands. He saw his son with his hands on his clothes twice, and the smile on his face was even brighter. Looking at the still young mother in front of him, Chen Yang held back his excitement and shouted, "Mom." Although Chen Ma is a bit more vicissitudes than when she was working in her hometown factory, she is still far from being as old as she was later. Chen Yang only hopes that the appearance in memory will never appear again. "Hey," Chen Ma responded, and said with a smile, "You're hungry, the food will be ready soon, sit down first." At this time, a voice came from the side, "It's not a guest, do you still need to greet me?" Chen Yang turned his head and saw that his father was pretending to be calm and sitting on the recliner in the corner, with a stern face and no smile, as if it was not his son who came back. "Dad." Chen Yang remembered that in his previous life, he just smiled while dealing with errands, and didn't even call out to his father. As for now, he didn't care whether he was cold or not. "So heavy, I still drink night bars every night, I'm getting fat." Hearing this, Dad's cold face was immediately broken, his face flushed from embarrassment, and he waved his hands and shouted, "It's not big or small. Why don't you hurry up and wash your hands and eat, wait for 3 reminders and 4 invitations." When the relatives nearby saw it, they all raised their heads and laughed, and the little uncle also laughed and said, Yang, if you want to hug your father, you probably have to wait until he is old enough to have only a handful of bones left. Isn't that an old bone? It is said that $1,000 is hard to buy to grow old and thin. In this life, my father will definitely live to that time, and I will accompany him for a walk every day. Hee, I'm going to wash my hands. Chen Yang blinked and suppressed the water mist, didn't answer, returned a smiling face, and happily ran to the bathroom. As for his father's attitude, in his memory, his father has always been like this. Influenced by his grandfather who went to a private school, his father believes in the dogma of a strict father and a loving mother, and never gives him any verbal care, until later. After my father became seriously ill, in order not to burden him, he endured the pain and refused to go to a big hospital for treatment. So he hanged himself with some medicine in a small hospital in the local town, if it wasn't for seeing him get married and have children. He might even have stopped taking the medicine a long time ago. Only then did Chen Yang truly feel the depth of his father's love. Unfortunately, in the end, he still couldn't wait until he got married, and even he couldn't find a wife until he was reborn. After coming out of the bathroom, everyone was already sitting together, the table was full of hot meals, and it was the hottest time in July, and there was no air conditioner in the house. Only a ceiling fan flickering on the top, but because the sun does not come in all year round, but it is not very hot. Chen Yang went to the empty seat beside his father and sat down. The cousin next to him put a disposable cup in front of him, and asked with a smile, "Beer or liquor?" Father Chen immediately sternly said, "What kind of wine do children drink? Drink." Ouch. The third uncle immediately yelled, "Is there any mistake, second brother? You own 2 catties of wine a day and don't let your son drink, doesn't that mean the connection team is gone?" The uncle also pursed his lips and nodded, "That's right. Besides, Yang has graduated from university. How can he still be a child? Zhu Biji in the village is still a classmate with Yang in elementary school. The children are all in kindergarten this year." Chen Yang immediately sweated. His name was Zhu Buying, but you guys called him Zhu Biji, and he didn't let it go even after giving birth. I guess this nickname will accompany him for the rest of his life, but he can only blame his father for this matter, not anyone else. Is what everyone calls it. The people at the table talked to each other, and Chen Ma sat there smiling and not talking. It seemed that she was very happy just looking at it. Seeing the chattering of relatives, Chen Yang quickly turned his head and said to his father, "Dad, how about I make half a glass with you?" It might be hereditary, even though Chen Yang never drank baijiu before he started working, but after drinking, he started off with 3 taels, which is not too bad. Hey, that's right, come on, half a glass is half a glass. Yang Yong didn't wait for the second uncle to speak, and immediately poured white wine into Chen Yang's glass, saying that it was half a glass, and it was only half a centimeter away from being full. The level of wine pouring is okay. Everyone poured their cups, touched one together first, and then started to eat. After all, they are all relatives of their own family, and they will not always focus on Chen Yang. After a brief chat about his plans, they will start talking about their own things. "Oh, third brother," said the eldest uncle to the third uncle, "didn't the owner of your stall say that he wants to go back to his hometown, and transfer the stall to you for 150,000 yuan? Do you want it?" When Chen Yang heard this, he immediately perked up his ears. The stalls in the wholesale market here are mainly divided into 2 types. One is very large and can park trucks. This kind of large stall is also the main bulk point for transporting fruits and vegetables from other places to Guangzhou. It is a bit like a large parking lot. The stalls are separated by high walls, and above them are tall awnings. For the convenience of parking, there is nothing on the stalls. It really looks like a parking lot. Other hawkers, such as these people on the table, just go to this kind of big stall to buy goods. Every time a new truck enters the stall, it will cause looting, because if you can't get the goods, what business do you do? The other is a stall for small wholesalers. It is the main purchase point for major vegetable markets and supermarkets in the city. It is about 8 meters wide and 15 meters deep. There is also a small room built inside, which can be used as a warehouse. You can also take a break temporarily, and this kind of small stall with a width of more than 8 meters, read book www.wukanshu.com, is generally divided into 3 leases by the owner. One on the left and one on the left, and one in the middle, which is equivalent to renting one stall by 3 families. In this way, the owner's income can be higher, and the tenant's rent can be lower, so let's get what we get. What my uncle was talking about just now is this kind of small stall, and my third aunt and third uncle rented one of them to do vegetable wholesale business. When Chen Yang was thinking about it, the third uncle said, he went back to his hometown. If he used to, 200,000 was not expensive, but now, 100,000 is too hot for me. The whole market has spread. The market has to be moved, the stalls here will be worthless by then, and his so-called return to his hometown is actually an excuse to get rid of it earlier. That's true, but, the uncle nodded, took a sip from his wine glass, and said in a breath, it's said to be moving, who knows when it will move, isn't it also rumored to move 2 years ago? And then there is no movement. I don't think it's necessary to move. If you don't move, you will make a lot of money if you buy it now. The little uncle also nodded his head and said in support, if you want me to say, this place may not be moved away. It is said that it will be moved to xianxia Island. Can the place accommodate it? It is an isolated island with only one way in and out, or a bridge. There are so many large trucks coming and going. Are you afraid that the bridge will be crushed? If you buy it, you will definitely make money, and we will all rent it from you later, so as to save the rent from outsiders. Whether he moves or not, I won't buy it anyway. Whoever wants to buy it will buy it. The third uncle shook his head and said, he worked hard day and night, and finally made some money. If he really moved, it wouldn't be all in vain. I'm not taking the risk. The words are not speculative, the atmosphere is a bit awkward. Chen Yang lowered his head to eat the food and didn't look at him, but he was thinking about how to get money so that he could win a stall here.